their first interview since the split. He was actually on last week, Beverley, and he was
saw it.
Do you know what? He was in good spirits,
yeah,
despite the fact that obviously he was disappointed.
He looked really scruffy, like he had a jumper on. He was slouching in the chair, and I was thinking, put a shirt on and sit up straight.
Sit up straight, young man.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it was a lovely interview. So thank you.
No, he was in good spirits, and you're actually still very much in touch, aren't you?
Yeah.
Very much so, of course.
Yeah, of course. We've got 3 children. You know, our eldest is 16, the girls are 8 and 10. So that's very demanding. So you have to remain amicable for the sake of the children, even if on days when you really just want to hire an assassin and take each other out, which I think, with anybody getting divorced, you do have those days.
It's horrible. It's not a process anybody wants to go through, that's for sure.
But, you know, we know bigger picture, the children are more important than anything.
And that's the main thing. That's absolutely the main thing.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and he said it as well, the fact that you had this terrible crash in America. And I remember you two spoke about it together. And it was like you had this person in your life and then you had this accident and he was a different guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's
a totally different person.
You know, we don't know an awful lot about how the brain works in terms of neuroscience, but James's injuries were to his frontal lobe, so that's personality and emotion processing, etc. And so he was very different, and the accident will be 10 years next summer. He's come an incredibly long way in that period of time, and, you know, culminated in him going to university and doing his master's. And really, at that point, you know, it's kind of like, OK, I've done what I can, like, my work is done.
Yeah, you've really
gone from waking up in a coma, from a coma in a hospital bed, to going to university. And, you know, I think the great thing is that he's met somebody that didn't know him before the accident.
Right.
Because the challenge for any relative of somebody that has a brain injury is you're constantly looking for the first version. So you're looking through the prism of the brain injury all the time, and then you see differences. Whereas if you didn't know him before, you probably think he was perfectly normal.
Right, I understand.
Bit scruffy.
Yeah.
And clearly can't dance. But you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, that's a guy with a brain injury.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Because of what you went through, has this made you, because you do this minds over matter, which I think is a brilliant thing to do, did that make you more interested in that sort of area, or is it something you've been interested in anyway?
I think the strange sort of weird coincidence is when Kiki, my middle daughter, was 3, and I got a bit sort of disillusioned with telly and it all being very subjective, because I was obviously working as a presenter before that, and I went back and trained as a psychotherapist. Right. And so then when James had his accident, that actually, I think, really helped me and equipped me to deal a little bit with what he's doing, how his behaviour was.
Sure.
But recently, Union Jack Radio, which is the biggest, fastest growing commercial radio station in the country, even though not a lot of people have heard of it, it's Jack in America, it's just come here. And they approached me and said, we're doing a series about male mental health particularly. So I've interviewed about 10 comedians, and comedians are fascinating, and all of them have had their own mental health issues. So we have Jordan Brooks, who won the Edinburgh Comedy Award this year, who's got pure OCD, and Robin Ince from the Infinite Monkey Cage with Professor Brian Cox, and he's talked about his battles with depression. And so I had an hour with these comedians to sit down and really delve into it. So it was kind of a bit of journalism and a bit of psychotherapy, and kind of push them a little bit. So that's playing on Union Jack Radio all this week, and then you can get these podcasts.
Really good idea. And again, if these guys can talk about it, it just helps other people, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does.
It really helps. And one of the things that we did as part of the series is we went to the Men's Sheds Association, which you may not have heard of.
I have not heard.
It doesn't sound like the sexiest organisation in the world, but there are 500 of these sheds across the country, and they're basically workshops where retired gentlemen can go and whittle some wood and make some things and chat to their friends and have a cup of tea. So we took a couple of live shows. We did a comedy show in one, and we did a music show. And it was such a joy to sit with these old guys who've got all these amazing skills, and they were at home, they were under their wives' feet, they were getting depressed, and their wives kicked them down the road to go to the workshops, and it's been transformative for them.
That's a really good idea for a radio show or a TV show.
An amazing charity, honestly.
Brilliant.
These old guys in these workshops making pencils and giving me things as I left, like bird boxes. You
Fantastic.
And they all said it was absolutely the making of. Some of them said I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this organisation.
Wow, that is really good. So there's a lot of good work going out there.
Yeah.
There really is. And so interesting that you used the skills that you had to cope with the situation that you found yourself in.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing about people, if you are married to somebody, because sports men and women are very single-minded, and I'm sure they won't mind me saying this, have to be a bit selfish, because you have to be, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's really hard, because you were saying when you went on holiday, he'd be in the gym for hours.
Yeah. Whether it's kick a ball faster or jump over a bar, like it's quite a childlike thing to want to do. And thank God they do it, because they give us amazing entertainment. And, you know, you remember the Olympics in 2012, like I love watching sport. But those individuals that do it are not necessarily easy to live with, whether they are male or female. I heard Steve Backshall talking about being married to Helen Glover and said something similar, the rower, that, you know, that single-minded determination can be amazing and achieve incredible things. But it does mean that you can be sat on a beach on your own because they're on the ergo for 3 hours.
Which is hard.
Which is hard. And it wasn't really a life that I wanted. It wasn't a life I wanted to live anymore. And it also wasn't... We weren't setting a good example to the children of what a loving relationship should look like.
I understand that.
That was a big thing for me.
And that kind of probably was the time for you to split.
Yeah.
And to have a different relationship. I mean, as you said, he's moved on to someone. You have too, which is great. Who happens to be called James as well. Isn't that handy? Just in case you sort of make a slip.
I narrowed down my pool. I'll only date men called James.
Well, it just saves embarrassment in so many levels.
It can be very confusing when you're trying to organise logistics. And, well, which James are we talking about?
Exactly.
But
Good for you, though.
You know, we unfortunately got sort of outed by the Sun when we were quite happy to keep it behind closed doors. But yeah, I feel very lucky.
Good. Early days, just see how it goes.
Early days, you know, younger man, what's not to like?
Good for you, for goodness sake. I don't know where you get the blinking energy.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I think one of the challenges as a divorced wife, a divorced woman, is finding time for everything. There'll be women watching this at home who just, you know, we're left sorting out the PE kits and the swimming bags and who needs to be where, and actually having a relationship in that environment is really challenging. And even to this, you know, sometimes with James too, and I have to say, I'm so sorry, like I can't be around this evening, and he is unbelievably understanding.
He understands it. That's really good.
Unbelievably understanding, and you know, and I sometimes say, oh, you should just go off and, you know, you don't want to deal with this rubbish that I have. And he said, but I always knew that you came as a package of 4. Like I knew what I was getting into.
He sounds a keeper. He sounds very, very good. Do you know, I'm so glad that you have found some time to have some fun as well, because it's not been easy. It's not been easy, and you're very good at sort of like going, no, it's fine, and I'm getting on with it. You know, you're a stalwart, and you just get on with it. But actually, now and again, it's okay to put yourself first.
You know, I think women we keep the home fires burning. There's fridges to fill. There are children to get to school. There is stuff to do all the time. So you don't really have an option of just sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself. And if I can fit some fun in my week, then
so much the better.
So much the better. It doesn't happen every week, to be honest. But you know, it's all, I think, as good as could be expected under these circumstances.
No, you've done amazingly well, both of you. You really have. I take my hat off to you, Bev. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Really good. And the podcast Minds Over Matter. You can do it now. Just download it now.
Thank you.
Thank you.